We're theme park families.
Theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Won't you join us now?
We're theme park families.
Thanks for joining us, we aim to please.
If roller coasters got you weak in the knees,
We're theme park families.
if you wanna find the best dessert or
Take a potty break with privacy,
find a coaster that is tame for little ones,
or one to make you scream.
we're theme park families.
Everybody's having bad babies.
Rescuing you all from life's luxuries.
We're theme park families.
We're theme park families.
Press the space bars. Yeah.
Yay! Great to be back on the mic again. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Adam, and it's been a long time since we recorded. After dealing with lots of computer issues and life and baseball and guitar lessons and starring in a play, right, Captain? And lots of other activities as well. It's been way too long, but we're glad to finally be back. School is done as of 2 days ago, and so it is prime theme park season. There are so many great things going on in the industry right now. Steel Vengeance is up and running well. We've got Wonder Woman, Golden Lasso coaster, Lasso of Truth coastering lasso, which is wonderful. We've got Cyborg Cyber Spin, which hopefully we'll get on here pretty soon. That has opened up. And Carowinds and Kennywood are teasing their coasters for next season. So many cool things going on. Our summer has already started. We've already gone to Hollywood Nights, which we'll talk about here in a couple episodes. And we've gone to Kennywood recently with EB and family from Coaster Radio, so we'll chat about that coming up soon. That was one of our few trips from last year that we didn't actually wind up talking about on an episode, so we'll talk about both of them together in an episode coming up here shortly. Did you enjoy your time at Kennywood?
Yeah.
We'll be heading over to Silver Dollar City in July for the Coaster Radio meetup, so hopefully we'll see a lot of people there that we know. That should be a great time. And after going to Branson for our second time in 2 years, we're going to head south from there and hit up Texas for the first time. What parks are we going to do in Texas?
Six Flags Over Texas and Six Flags Fiesta Texas.
So that'll be interesting. Texas in late July should be very, very pleasant, to say the least. So it'll be interesting to get there for the first time, try our first single rail coaster. Andrew just said it's called a Raptor.
No, we're gonna edit that.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully in the fall we'll get to Lake Compounce. It sounds like that's going to be a possibility. And that was the other park that we didn't wind up talking about last year, that we had a chance to go with our great friends Brian and Julie to Lake Compounce last year for the first time right at the end of summer. And we just didn't chat about that, so we'll be talking about Lake Compounce more later in the summer as well. On this episode, we're going to be chatting about an important measurement. And measurements aren't something that a lot of people necessarily think of, but for kids, measurements is such an important part of the theme park experience, referring to inches and height and the majestic number of 54, which Andrew has conquered here in the last couple of months. Right? Are you so proud of yourself?
Kind of.
You did it, finally. Yay, 54 inches. Such a huge, important number for kids. It was something that we tweeted about, a momentous occasion, which happened a couple of months ago, and we'll discuss that moment later. But first, let's get back into some news.
Andrew's news. Andrew's.
That's how the song goes. Andrew's news.
If not running coasters will give you the blues, it's Andrew's news. Fire, fire, fire!
Where, Rue?
Oh, don't call me Rue. Nowhere, Dad. An amusement park's silly.
Wow. This has been crazy. Now, this is something, of course, that Coaster Radio has been covering here for a long time, but it just keeps adding. It never stops, including something that just happened yesterday, which you don't even know about. So, thinking about fire, which are the ones that you remember off the top of your head from these last, 3 months?
Okay, so there's the one from Disney.
Which was a what? What happened?
Dragon Head on fire.
Dragon Head on fire, which is...
Dinosaur.
Which is... Well, there were two of the things, right? There was a dinosaur head on fire, which started it all. Then there was the dragon head from Maleficent float that was on fire as well. And what better thing to be on fire? A dragon head. So that makes perfect sense.
And then there was the Europa Park one.
Yeah, Europa Park, which is sad. I mean, hopefully in the next 40 years we're able to get there. It's supposed to be such a great park, and that was a classic old dark ride in land. And sadly, that all went up in flames. So very good, Europa Park. Any of the others that you remember?
There was the Dodgem one.
Yeah, at Carowinds, very good. That was on fire and it had to be extinguished by an employee, just like the dragon head was put out by a handheld extinguisher. So that was pretty crazy. And then yesterday at Carowinds, there was another situation with a couple of cars that were on fire in the parking lot. And sadly, at least one other got engulfed. So it's been a crazy couple of months here. Maybe it's the extreme heat adding to things a little bit, because it's been a hot start to the summer. Hopefully that'll be it. I know Coaster Radio had some fun with Hagrid, creating havoc, spreading fire throughout the country, but it's gotten a little out of hand, and I guess the world as well with Europa Park. So hopefully that will be the last story. In doing some research for that, I saw that Kennywood in the 1970s had a pretty bad fire. They had like a haunted house that caught fire, so that's one of the famous ones. And then in the 80s as well, Great Adventure had a tragic haunted house that caught fire as well, which took some lives. So hopefully that will be it. Thankfully, all the fires this year, it sounds like everyone has escaped injury, so that has been at least a good thing there.
Work continues at Kennywood for the 2019 coaster project as the lagoon has footings in both sides and the Logjammer site is being leveled and is ready for construction.
Yeah, so we were there last week, and interesting how things are progressing there. Where the whole lagoon, where their sky coaster is, they've got footings on both sides of the lagoon, so that's kind of interesting that it'll wrap around both sides. And then behind the lemonade stand, kind of funny, Dippin' Dots lemonade stand. Behind the lemonade stand there, were you able to see the construction that was going on back there? All right, so next to the shooting gallery with all of those, right next to Racer in the shooting gallery that has all those funny things that spit water at you. Where the Logjammer site is, they've leveled all that off. They've got lots of, probably 5 or 6 different tractors back there as they're leveling things off, and it looks like they're about ready to put footers down as that site is getting ready for a pretty big project, and we should start seeing things going up. Now, I was able to talk to someone, let's just say, and got a little information that 197 definitely refers to the height. The reports are that it won't sadly go into the ravine, that they did not get the permits to be able to build into the ravine. So sadly, it won't go there, which makes it seem like it's going to be a little bit more compact and perhaps be a launch coaster. That seems to be something that is a possibility, although it could still be just a twisted layout that's all within itself. So it's not a huge amount of land with all of that Logjammer site into the lagoon, but it really could be something that is quite interesting. Also heard that it will be a record breaker. Didn't say exactly what the record will be, but 197 feet, not in the ravine, breaking records. So kind of interesting, and a lot of people have a feeling that it'll be the best new coaster for next year. What are you thinking might be going in there, bud?
Sure. Oh.
What are you thinking might be going in there? Sure. That is the kind of analysis that people come to theme park families for.
We're gonna edit that out. But I think it could be kind of like Time Traveler, but without the first drop and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But without the spinningness.
So you think a mock launch as well? Interesting, because that leads into Carowinds. That's kind of what they're going to be getting. So,
I thought they were getting a wooden coaster.
Yeah, so those were all the rumors, exactly. A lot of people at that new site where the old Skloosh was, that site was, a lot of people thought going to be a GCI, but no, the mock boxes have already arrived. See, that's where rumors a lot of times don't work out. Now, all the rumors were that it was supposed to be an RMC, and then the belief was that fell through. But some people think it still potentially could be an RMC, so we'll see. But a lot of people feel like this could be one of the best new coasters for next year. With the fact that it's not going to go into the ravine, that might quell some of that optimism a little bit. But just the fact that Kennywood is getting a new coaster, it's been a long time, so that can only be a good thing.
Disney opened up its Pixar Pier at California's Adventure this weekend with the centerpiece California Screamin' Coaster rethemed to the Incredible.
Yes, the Incredicoaster. A lot of people who are traditionalists, not that California's Adventure is even that old, but a lot of people don't like the retheming. And of course, the parks are just going to be using more and more of their IPs, more of their movies that are popular. And with The Incredibles 2 just coming out, it seems like a natural fit there. So who knows? We might be able to get to Disneyland here in the next few years. That would be a great hope of ours. You don't like that idea?
I want to get there in the next few weeks.
Well, in the next few weeks, wow, that's tough. The rumors are that a Celebrity Lobster is going to be having a potential birthday bash there next year. So a lot of people might be showing up there. Unfortunately, this is not a video podcast. If it was, you'd already see that Andrew buried his head into his hands 5 times. We've been recording for 11 minutes and 32 seconds. And can you please tell the audience why you've now buried your head in your hands 5 times?
Because you've been very embarrassing.
I'm embarrassing. I'm just reporting the news, dude. And it's a parent's job to be embarrassing, so I really can't help that. I'm looking forward to eventually seeing what that looks like, and it can only be a good thing. Getting some new technology in there, seeing some new theming, and you love your theming. California Screaming, it was just a white coaster, but now if there's lots of incredible things around there, that theming that you kind of like. All right, so there's our little bit of news there. Rewinding a bit back, when we were on spring break, we wound up going to Hilton Head, where my in-laws, Melissa's parents, had just bought a house in Hilton Head. And so it was our first time going down there. I'd been to Myrtle Beach many times when I played golf for college and other times as well. And Myrtle Beach is nice and its own interesting thing, as I love golf. And sadly, we never got to do the theme park there. But it was our first time to Hilton Head. And what did you think of Hilton Head?
It blew my mind.
In what way? What did you like about it?
It was just so amazing and stuff. I felt like it was like rich man's land or something.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why we don't live there, I suppose. Really nice place. In direct contrast to Myrtle Beach, it's so much less commercial. There's so many trees. You feel like you're in the middle of the Georgia Pines, but you're right by the ocean. So there's very little commercial neon lights or any of that kind of stuff. It's just much more laid back and mellow, and a beautiful place, beautiful houses, beautiful courses. It was a little too chilly for us to go into the water yet, but we just saw this weekend there was a heat index for about
110.
110 degrees. So wow, how things can change in a short amount of time. But yeah, we were able to play some golf. We played a little mini golf. We did a lot of bike rides. It's such a great place for going on bike rides. So a really neat place.
We went into so they have 2 pools. They in the little town that our grandparents live in. Mm-hmm. They have an indoor one, which is like so hot. It's sometimes steaming.
It almost feels like a sauna or something like that, or a steam bath.
And then they have an outside one, which is pretty cold, but it has like fountains that spray and stuff.
Almost like a mini water park, right? Yeah.
And it has a little mini lazy river.
Yeah, which is kind of cute, and that was all brand new. So sadly, yeah, that water was freezing when we were there, but by now, it would be plenty warmed up and it would feel refreshing, I'm sure. On the drive down there, we decided, since you go by Charlotte, what else are you going to do than stop at Carowinds? And I was excited that my brother-in-law, Mike, and his girlfriend, Kim, met us there, for that was their first time at Carowinds, as they have Cedar Fair Platinum Passes. And so it was nice to be able to meet them down there. Carowinds, one of our favorite parks. We really liked when we were down there for the Coaster Radio meetup and a couple of other times as well. I think this was our 3rd time there, actually. And so when we got there, I decided to take Maddie into the newly rethemed Camp Snoopy, and I did a bunch of things around there. Camp Snoopy looks great. Not that the old area looked bad. I love the fact that it's very heavily treed, but a lot of the nice touches and rock work and signage looks really great. The playground that they had, and a lot of people criticized this when they announced that they were going to be doing this. Why are you putting a playground into a theme park? We don't spend blah 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 dollars to go into a playground and do slides and swings when we have that at our own park. But you guys spent a good deal of time there, right? Wasn't it fun?
Well, it was more Maddie and Alex.
Right, and you were just hanging out with them for their sake. That was very nice of you. But it was mobbed, that playground, and it shows us a great idea that kids can't just wait in line all day for rides. They need to get some energy out. So in that way, it was a brilliant move. I think it really looks great, the additions they made to it. So when I was with Maddie, and we did a lot of the rides for her, you guys went on that Saturday to a few different things. Did you go to, it was you and Mama and Alex and Mike and Kim. Did you go to Plants vs. Zombies? Is that one of the things you went to?
Yep.
Okay. And did you do anything else? Do you remember? Did you do a coaster with them? Or did that take so long that you didn't wind up doing it?
Oh, yeah, that took really long. I don't think we wound up doing anything else. Oh, yeah, we did. We did Starflyer.
Okay, yeah. So that flat ride, like the pirate ship that goes all the way around. So those were the two things that you did. Okay, it was a Saturday in late April, and it was very, very busy. Lines were incredibly long. After that, we wound up having lunch inside like we always do.
Harmony Hall.
Harmony Hall, very good. I loved the ribs there. Okay, that was head shake number 6. Your memory's a lot better than mine with those kind of things. So yeah, Harmony Hall is always where we love to go for every meal there. There's so many different things you can get. Such great food. After lunch, then I went with you guys. And do you remember which coaster we went to after lunch? We went to the Carolina Cyclone, their Aero Looper. And do you remember what the line was like?
Pretty long.
Now, funny with Carolina Cyclone, and every time we've gone there, we've always gotten on within like 5-10 minutes. I didn't even know there was a queue underneath the station, but that's how far out the line was. So we waited, I'd say, at least 45 minutes for that ride, which was pretty crazy, and that just shows you how busy that day was. And after Carolina Cyclone, I think that's the only other coaster we did, right, until the nighttime. We didn't do Gold Rusher, we didn't do Hurler, and that's the thing about that park. It's for 48-inch riders, it's really not the best park that way. They have so many 54-inch coasters, and so we really didn't do a lot of other things there. Anything else you remember doing before nighttime? Right, that was kind of about it. So after walking around a little bit, we wound up having dinner, and then, like we do many times, especially after a pretty long day, we took Alex and Maddie and Melissa back to the hotel so that they could go there. And then we had about 2 hours and came back to the park for the last 2 hours where it was dark at that point. And so, you need to brush your hair? Yeah, okay. Oh man, your hair looks good, dude. Wow, you're styling. If only this was a video podcast and they could see your hair right now. Woo! Right? Alright, so we came back and we had, as I said, about an hour and 45 minutes left, somewhere in there. And Andrew was very close to that 54-inch mark. And we decided, alright, let's head over to Fury. And Andrew was a bit nervous, not at all because of the ride, but because he was nervous about getting height checked and would he be there and all that. And so that makes him a tad bit nervous. Mike and Kim were at Nighthawk. Yeah, they were at Nighthawk.
And that line was taking forever.
And once you're in that line, yeah, it's hard to get out of it. We went to Fury, and it turned out he was tall enough, no problem. And we waited in line, and he was getting really excited. Andrew's been very angry at Fury for about 3 years now. He even wanted it to be knocked down after hearing for years. Yeah, why did you want it knocked down?
Because everybody was bragging about it and saying that it was so good, but I couldn't even do it.
Yep. So we felt it should be knocked down. The hard part about it with an hour and a half left is that it kept going up and down. At this point, 8:30, somewhere in there, the line wasn't necessarily even that long, but it kept going up and down, which is very odd for a B&M that they're so reliable. But it went up and down like 3 times while we were in line, one of them for about 40 minutes. We finally got to the station at about 9:50. I think it closed at 10 that night, and we got there at 9:50. When we got to the train, we were just happy going with the first possible. So I think we went in about the 3rd row.
Yeah, 3rd row.
And I told Andrew to take the outside, and we went on the right side, and we got strapped in. And so as we're sitting in the seat,
we found coins.
We did? What, in the seat?
Well, there were coins, like, on the, where our feet went.
Yeah, great memory, dude. And we picked them up just to make sure they didn't fly anyone and potentially hurt someone. So it's almost like you got paid to ride Fury. We get strapped in, and I wanted you to be on the outside so you could have the good view. It's pitch black out. We're going up the lift hill, and what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, wow.
Wow. And it's such a cool time to do it for your first time ever. When it's pitch black, you can't see anything. And as we were getting to the top of Lift Hill, I said to him, okay, hands up the whole way, right? And yeah. And he did it. Like the first time I did Fury that year after it opened, I remember the first time I did it, I didn't have my hands up. Sometimes it takes me a while to get comfortable with a ride, but I didn't, and he did. And when we're getting to the top of Lift Hill with like 50 feet left, do you remember what happens sometimes at the top of the Lift Hill?
It gets slower.
It gets slower, right. If if it has to let the train in front of it hit the brakes, it'll slow down. Yeah.
And it was very windy that night.
Oh, I don't even remember that. So it was windy. Okay. What did you think of the ride experience as we finally went down the hill? Tell us what parts of it you liked, what parts of it you didn't. What did you think?
I liked most of the parts.
Most of the parts.
Yeah.
All right. What was...
Like the brake one. I like the brake run.
The brake run is tight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That just... Is that when you went crazy?
Yeah.
That's the best brake run I've ever been on! Woo!
Yup.
See, this is why people tune into TPF for this kind of deep analysis. Anything other than the brake run?
I like the turn that goes under the tunnel.
Okay, so that turnaround right before the tunnel?
Like 90-degree turn.
Yeah, and being on the right side, that's what I want to do on the right side. Not only for the first turn after the drop, but also that turn, where it almost feels like you're facing the ground there. So yeah, a great part.
And then right after the first drop, there's that turnaround, right? Pretty much like Millennium Force's turnaround. I like that part too. Yeah,
that's such a fun part. That lateral air time as you're going sideways and being lifted out is pretty cool. Well, interesting that you bring up Millennium Force. How would you compare them?
Okay, so I think Millennium Force is more intense, but Fury has better airtime and more airtime, and yeah.
Wow, so you think Millennium Force is more intense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, people do...
Even though Millennium Force goes slower than...
Right. Well, I hear more people saying they gray out at the bottom of the first drop of Millennium Force than they do Fury, so...
Yeah. Because I think Vekomas and B&Ms, Vekomas tend to be a little more intense than B&M. Because B&M, their thing is like floater air and being gentle. Yeah. Whereas Vekoma, their thing is being intense and fast.
And you're talking about Intamin.
Intamin, yeah.
He got off the ride and his face was beaming. Sadly, because it took so long, we couldn't get another ride on.
But we did it next morning.
That ended the night, and it was a great way to finish off the night as he finally got onto Fury. Could you even think about where you would put it on your list now?
No, I don't like to compare coasters. So
that's
too hard.
Okay, I kind of agree there. So that next morning we came at opening, and what an incredible difference. And we've noticed this at a lot of parks, but Sunday so much quieter than Saturday. And it was a beautiful thing as there were almost no lines the whole next day. And immediately we went over to Fury to start it off. It took us just a couple minutes to get on. And this time I wanted Andrew, now that it was daytime, to get a front row ride, because to me Fury is one of the few coasters that I like much better in the front. I think that front row experience is just incredible.
Yes, we did it about 4 or 5 times.
You did it with Mama once or twice too, right?
Twice.
Yeah, twice.
And we did it in the back a couple times, and in the front, and in the middle. So.
Any particular spot you like best?
Front.
So you agree there.
Yeah.
And that first drop just looks amazing from that front row, doesn't it?
Yeah, because unlike El Toro, Fury doesn't have the whip on the first drop, so on the back it's not much different, except for you get a worse view. And
I agree with that. When you have a super long train like an Intamin train like El Toro, that whip in the back is so incredibly forceful.
I mean, Maverick isn't a long train.
No, Maverick.
It's Intamin.
Yeah. Right. So it's the length of the train that matters.
Yeah.
Whereas a B&M are 4 across and not as long. So it's not that big of a difference. So thoroughly agree there. And such a great view. And as people are coming in the park, it's so cool to see them going underneath you as it goes under the entrance
and
there.
And they're watching.
Yeah, and they're watching and you're shouting at them and all that is kind of cool. And I think after that we headed over to Nighthawk, right? Because we knew that line would be the worst.
Even though the park just opened, it had a hour and a half wait.
It did, because of all the problems. Again, that was something that went down twice, including one time for about 40 minutes. And you were in line with Mama, and I was with Alex and Maddie as we waited. Yeah, it took way longer than it needed to. Plus the fact that they only had one train open. As they said, they were quote-unquote working on it, even though nothing was being done to it. One train operations like that, that's just slowed everything down so much. So it probably took you a total, of over an hour until you finally got on it. And I think you sat somewhere... Oh, you were actually split up from Mama, right? And you were in the back row? Wow, pretty interesting. Your first flyer ever to be in the back row. Those Vekoma flyers are very interesting. Some people love them, some people hate them. It's an interesting ride that way. So what did you think when you got off?
I love them.
You really did. And now, what part of it did you like?
All of it.
You liked all of it. So not just the brake run, you liked all of it. Did you find it comfortable?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Did you think it was weird going up the lift hill on your back where you can't like tell what's happening?
Well, I could look back and see how far to go it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting.
Was the loop the best part for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I liked the soaring part.
Yeah.
Where you were just soaring over the water and
Sure.
you were on your belly.
Yeah. And that's interesting. I like that location too. Kind of nerve-wracking for people who maybe have phones and keys and wallets in their pockets that aren't zipped. As you lose it there, kind of like Anaconda at King's Dominion.
We saw like 5 credit cards in the water when we were waiting in line.
Oh, wow. Crazy. Just credit cards that people left loose in their pocket and then they were gone. Yeah.
And I like the 2 corkscrews at the end.
Yeah. Now, interesting, with those, a lot of people complain that they find it kind of rough and jerky. Did you find that coaster rough at all? Thoroughly agree, too. And did you find the vest comfortable on you?
No, it wasn't that. It was comfortable.
It was, yeah.
I think it's just because some of the people might be like, it might hurt their shoulders because they're taller or bigger.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's maybe why.
Yeah, it never bothered me either. So I was happy you got on that. We waited so long, I didn't need to do it since I've done it a few times. Mm-hmm. So we just left after that. And I think next we headed over to Afterburn.
Yeah.
And so this was your second B&M invert after Banshee, which is 52 inches. So this was your first 54-inch B&M inverted coaster.
Yeah.
So we got on, I think, the second train that we got into the station. It was the second train.
Oh, yeah, there was no wait.
There was no wait at all. So we got up there and one was already loading, and so we got onto the next one. And we sat in front for the first time, too, so right to give you the view. And I think we did it twice. And so what did you...
I love this coaster. I actually like it better than Banshee.
Yep.
Some people...
No,
a lot of people probably disagree.
No, I think a lot of hardcore enthusiasts will agree with you more than disagree. What did you like more about Afterburn than Banshee?
Because this one was a lot more intense. It whipped you through those inversions and the one tunnel. It just whipped you through those, and it felt really intense.
Yeah.
Whereas Banshee just kind of soars and goes.
It's graceful, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So having a couple of the tunnels as well, I think is pretty cool. And having the trees and all that, it's a really cool setting. And we did it front row and then back row so you could see the difference. What should you like better?
So they're pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much like Fury, where back row is a little bit more intense. But front row is still really intense and you get the view. So, I mean, it's good anyway. Yeah,
the view is good. I personally like being whipped through the inversions better than being pushed through. But I agree that the visuals are really kind of cool. And on an inverted coaster, if you're not in the front row, you truly see pretty much nothing.
Except for the back of the chair.
Exactly.
Of the row in front of you.
Yeah, and that's kind of annoying. So I was so happy that you liked Afterburn that much. Well, then we wound up seeing our good buddies, Michael and Ellie, who did that call-in from season 1 about her first time on Fury, exactly. And so it was really cool to run into them. Now, we waited with them for Vortex forever, which didn't wind up opening after they had a problem with
we just waited
in
with
the
Ellie.
station. Yeah, exactly. Michael didn't want to do it. And so it was so cool to see them again. But I don't think, did we ever actually ride anything with them? Because we waited for Vortex with them, but I don't think we actually got to ride anything, which was...
Well, we did ride Afterburn with them.
Okay, so it was the one to Afterburn, which was kind of cool. But so it was great to catch up with them, as that's their home park and they're there all the time. I don't think people were too upset that we didn't get on Vortex, as that's one of my least favorite coasters of all time.
But that would have been my first stand-up. But I still did a stand-up.
Exactly. So it would have been your first, and we'll get that credit for you at some point, as long as it doesn't get demolished, which I wouldn't blame them for doing that at some point. But sad that it didn't wind up opening. But you did wind up doing Intimidator, and we were at the back of the train. We did back?
Oh, yeah, very back.
Yeah, very back for Intimidator. So what did you think of Intimidator?
I actually liked it. I think that was the first time I ever did that sort of seating thing.
Yeah, that staggered seating, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Did you like it like that? So that almost every seat's an outside seat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you definitely got to see, it's like in every row you're in the front row.
Yeah.
So you get to see.
Yeah.
And then that was very cool. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this one's not Coaster Fury at all. This one's more about the airtime, whereas Fury is more about all those turns and stuff. And so I think it's just Intimidator's more airtime. It has those big airtime hills.
Exactly. So completely different rides from the same manufacturer. So the only other B&M Hyper you've done to this point is what? What was your other B&M Hyper that you've done at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg?
Apollo's Chariot.
So which one did you like better?
I actually like Apollo's Chariot better.
Mostly because of the setting itself?
That, and then I feel like it's more intense.
Yes.
With that lake turn.
Right.
And then there was that one... on the return trip, there's that one little wiggly spot, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. That wiggles left and right, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that Intimidator is the Banshee of Hypers? Like it's just graceful and smooth and...
Yes.
Which
Intimidator's the Banshee of Hypers.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's called Intimidator, but not very intimidating at all.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
But the Intimidator 305 is more intimidating.
Yeah. Exactly. Vortex, that was the only 54-inch coaster you didn't wind up doing at Kennywood, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get that credit at some point. Now, on the way back from Hilton Head, which is a really long drive back to upstate New York, we decided
16 hours?
Yeah, something like that. We decided to cut it in half, and on that weekend coming back, we stopped at King's Dominion, especially since Melissa could do Twisted Timbers for her first time, which she really enjoyed. And it was another chance for us to get to see our friends Clinton and Sherry, exactly. And we also saw Reese for the first time this year, so it was good to see him as well. You got your first 54-inch rides on 2 coasters. Now, we didn't do all the 54-inch coasters at King's Dominion. Which ones didn't you do?
Okay, so we didn't do Dominator.
And, a couple others. So you didn't do Dominator, the indoor.
Oh, Flight of Fear.
Exactly, so didn't do that either. And we weren't in a rush to do every single 54-inch coaster because we'll be back there plenty. So we'll do those eventually. But the 54-inch coasters you did do...
Intimidator 305 and Volcano.
Okay, so let's start with Intimidator 305. It was at night once again for your first time. It was the first night where again we did the same thing, dropping off Maddie and Melissa and Alex at the hotel, which we stayed at the one right next to the park, which is so wonderful when you literally have a 2-minute drive to bring them back to the hotel. So pitch black, and we get on I-305 with Clinton, Sherry, and Reese, and a bunch of other friends there too. And which row did you do?
Close to back.
Yeah. I think you were the second to last row. Again, pitch black, so you don't see what's coming. And
you can't, when it's pitch black, you can't really tell if you're graying out or blacking out because it's already kind of black.
That's a great point. So you don't even know if you did. The world was blacked out at that point. Did you know enough of the layout to know what was going to happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Review of I-305 compared to Fury. What did you think of I-305? Not even picking which one you like better, just describing how they're different.
Okay.
Because then the next day you did I-305 a bunch of times during the day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I feel like I-305, I don't black out or gray on it at all.
Okay.
Gray out on it because I feel like I'm more used to it and I'm younger, I guess.
Yeah.
And so... Like you told me to lean into the turns.
Yeah. Did you like doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then I feel like my favorite part is that one turn that you're going so fast around at the end of the first drop. You're going so fast around that turn. And I feel like my eye is like watering and like they're opening and shutting really fast. Yeah,
some of the pictures of people and what's happening to their faces at that point is pretty funny. Kind of like Top Thrill Dragster where their faces are wobbling.
Yeah, you should post the picture on Facebook if you haven't already of me doing Top Thrill Dragster.
Oh, yeah. I've done it. Yeah, I posted that last year, exactly, which is pretty funny. Remind you a little bit of Maverick in those turns? Or not so much?
No, because Maverick's turns are a lot smaller, and I feel like you go through Maverick's turns more intensely and more whippingly, I guess.
Yeah, because they're quicker as opposed to the long ones.
Whereas, Intimidator 305 is still intense, but they're a lot wider.
Yeah, that first time we did it on Sunday, I think we got front row as well on Intimidator, right? Did you got? And did you like the front row? Not quite as much. I still think looking down first drops in
Yeah.
the front row is a really cool look. Excellent. And then for our ride of the week, so we'll do our ride of the week now, as opposed to normally as we do it later. Let's do Volcano as our ride of the week. And to me, when we were talking about eventually doing 54-inch coasters, Volcano to me was one of the ones I was most excited. Of course, Fury as well, but I was so excited about you doing Volcano. And Volcano, absolutely a front row coaster. And I don't think we waited that long. Thankfully, it was about maybe 40 minutes.
20 to
20 more?
30.
Yeah, the switchbacks weren't really open, so yeah, maybe about 20.
30
yep.
around there, yeah.
And it's kind of cool that it's not like a lot of coasters like Millennium Force where the front row wait will be like 5 times as long. It's the same length wait for the front row.
It's a little bit longer.
Okay. Tiny bit. There were maybe 3 trains wait for the front row. It really wasn't that bad. So we got on, we slowly crawl around, and what did you think of that first launch?
I thought the launch was pretty intense. Not close to a sense as Top Thrill Dragster, but it was really intense.
Okay, so pretty intense. You come around the curve, and then you go into the mountain.
Then you go into the mountain, and you see all of that, steel and metal holding it up.
Yes.
That's so cool. And you get to see how huge that inside of the mountain is.
Yeah.
And that part's so cool. And then when you're going straight up and you're kind of facing the mountain.
Right.
That's cool too.
Oh, it looks so cool. Shame the fire wasn't working effect as we came out. I don't know if I've ever had it on when I was doing it.
I've seen it work.
Yeah. But being on it, I don't think I've ever had it work. So after you come out of the mountain, what did you think of the rest of the ride with the 3 different inline twists?
Yeah, you're going very slow though.
Yeah. That part is weird. It's like Intamin didn't quite know exactly what they wanted to do. So like, all right, just wrap around the mountain and keep twisting. But then, one of my favorite parts is that last drop where you have so much speed.
Wow.
And, you could have done they could have done so much more with that ride, with all that speed that you had, like one more inversion or something like that.
I feel like they should have done another, spaghetti bowl or something in the mountain.
Yeah, that would have been neat if they had the room for it. Or maybe they just didn't have the funds. Mm-hmm. So can you compare Afterburn and Volcano?
No.
No, they're just too different.
Yeah.
But you really like Volcano?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I really do.
We could have done Dominator, but we were running out of time and we had a lot longer drive. And as we said, we know we'll be back there. And so it's good to have other first experiences instead of doing them all at once.
A reason to come back.
That first night, that's when we did that recording for In the Loop, where we did that walkthrough podcast where people just kept coming up to Clinton saying, hey, I know you and I love your videos. So you can check that episode out on In the Loop as we were a part of that. Okay, Alex, sing it.
Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day. Tip of the day, tip of the day. It's the tip of the day. Yeah.
Brew, what's our tip of the day?
Our tip of the day is always go to coaster events.
Why should someone go to a coaster event? What would be good about that? All right, time number 7 now, putting your head into your hands.
Because you get ERT.
What is ERT?
Extra ride time.
Okay.
JP.
Oh, gosh. On what? Extra ride time on what?
Coasters.
On coasters. We like those, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, it's all about the people, too. The people.
And the food.
And the food, too. Yeah, people, food, and coasters. What else do you need than people, food, and coasters? Now, so far, Hollywood Nights has been...
The best one.
Well, and the only one? I guess Coaster Radio meetups are sort of like a coaster.
Well, is that in a coaster event, or is that just a meetup with the Coaster Radio?
I'd say both. When it started up, it was just a meetup, but now that we've started to get like ERT, like on Invader, and we're going to get Invadar and Time Traveler. We're getting ERT. It's starting to become a coaster event. Really, those are the only 2 we know, but coming up this year, I think we're going to start doing some others. For Hollywood Nights, we got there first, so we needed to have a membership. So for the first time, we are ACE members. Hopefully Slater from RTO isn't mad at us about that, but we have ACE memberships for the first time. And I think there are a couple events we're going to try to go to, like the one at Canada's Wonderland, something like Coasters A in September. It's supposed to be a great event. Really cool opportunity, and it's always neat to be able to meet people that you're Facebook friends with, people that you've heard about from the industry. It turns out to be a really great social fun thing that is a great idea to do. Thanks again for being patient. It's really cool seeing the numbers, especially of the last few episodes that we posted, like Millennium Forks, and how we're kind of growing and more people listening. So we appreciate that so much to see the numbers increasing, and we love meeting some of the people who are listeners. So thanks so much for all that. Again, you can find us on Facebook at Theme Park Fam, and Twitter at Theme Park Fam, and
Instagram.
No Instagram. We're not that cool. Unless you want to start up an Instagram. Do you want to start that up?
I don't have Instagram.
But do you want to start that up? You could be the Instagram manager.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all on you. So, all right, hook that up. Yeah, we can do that. And you can find us at all kinds of places like Google Play Music and iHeartRadio and all those other places where podcasts are found that you know. So thanks so much for listening. We got a bunch of episodes coming up here pretty soon where we'll talk about, as we said, Hollywood Nights in one episode. We've got our Kennywood trip. We also had a couple of other 54-inch coaster experiences. Where else did you go to ride 54-inch coasters?
I don't know. Oh, I know.
I don't know. Oh, I know. And where was that?
Six Flags Great Adventure.
Yeah, we did a couple. We had just a little bit of time a couple weeks ago to get there to get a couple of 54-inch coasters.
Yeah, I'm at my
which
100,
ones are they? Oh,
I'm at 198 roller coasters.
198. Also a little bit of foreshadowing for a future episode, as 200 is coming up pretty soon. Not bad for a cute little 9-year-old. Oh, you're so sweet. We'll have a bunch more episodes coming up as life has become a lot easier now, and we'll start definitely uploading things a lot more frequently coming up. So we'll see y'all soon. Summer's here. Everyone stay cool.
Choose some water rides and slides, 'cause Andrew's no fool.